Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill rolling right along on this Wednesday, July 30th morning. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, Allen alongside right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, and we are joined now live in studio. Lake Lewis Jr., NFL insider and analyst, host of the Lake Lewis Jr. show as well. Lake, thank you so much for taking some time and dropping by the illustrious ESPN Richmond studios here.
I appreciate it, and it's nice. It's nice to finally be in here. I've come on with you guys, but to be in here, I greatly appreciate it. It's our day off, so why not?
How's camping going for y'all?
It's been great. It's been brutally hot.
I was going to say, when Allen was up there, 2 days ago, I texted him. I was like, how hot is it? And he was like, I was not prepared for this heat. It's
man.
horrible.
It's, when in Richmond, we had training camp down here, years ago. I couldn't believe how hot it was. It was just unbearable. It seems like up there this year, it's been equaling how hot it was when we were here in Richmond. It's something that they've monitored. Obviously, they've moved the practices up even earlier to kind of beat the heat as it comes in during the day. So, yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's been a lot of fireworks on the field. They're competing. They're getting after it.
Yeah, so far, we've heard Connerly was working with the ones, I think, a couple days ago.
Yes, he was.
How's he looking out there?
He looks like a very good rookie, so there's times he's going to make mistakes, and then there's times you see why they took him in the first round. But let's be honest about it. The guys he's going up against, Von Miller, first ballot Hall of Famer, Javon Kinlaw is a mountain of a man. I mean, so he's going to get great work in. Dedrick Wise, is a wily veteran that they brought in from New England. He's going to get great work against these guys. So when Sundays come, it may not be as tough for him.
That's the funny thing when you see all of the tweets, the fans who are tweeting, "Ooh, Connerly doesn't look," and you're just like, "Well, he is." This is day one of him working with the ones, and you're like, "Yeah, I expect." I would be more worried if Von Miller is struggling against a rookie more so than the rookie struggling against a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely, that's a great point. And the other thing too is I think what's happened really quickly with this fan base is they got spoiled by Jaden's success last year. And they're thinking, oh, he was a rookie and he did it. Well, he's different. That's a special God-given ability that he has. But I think if you want to look at Josh, you can think someone like, Mikey Samerstill last year. Mikey at times would get beat, but then he also would come back and make two great plays right after that. And that's what you're going to see with Josh this year. There's going to be some growing pains. You saw that a little bit last year with Brandon Coleman. Obviously, they've moved him to guard, but I think Josh Connerly is going to be every bit as advertised.
Do you think Jaden Daniels now with what we assume is an enhanced offensive line this year will like having that type of protection in front of him this year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he looks like a much better player right now than he was last year, if you can say that. I mean, he's bulked up. He's much bigger. But his decision-making now is just – last year it took him around 2 seconds to make a decision, whether he was going to throw or take off on you. Now it's not even 2 seconds. He knows exactly where he wants to go at all times. Yesterday, the deep ball was off. So if you know anything about Jaden, you know that come tomorrow when we're back at practice, the deep ball is going to be hitting all day. That's just who he is. But I think with this offensive line, the way they've rebuilt it, and then Sam Cosmi looks way ahead of schedule. He might be back by week 5 off the PUP list.
The expectation was him later on in the season, right? Because
that's what I thought.
When he tore his ACL, man, modern medicine, it is a. I feel like every year they're like 9 to 12 months on the ACL. Then at like 5 months, they're like I go back to the Aaron Rodgers whole saga. Now, how much of that actually was modern medicine, and how much of it was Aaron Rodgers?
It was Aaron Rodgers.
I think, and he's just like, after 1 month, I could play, and then he was dominating the headlines. But with modern medicine, like Cosmi, I felt like we may not even have seen him this season, and now he's walking around having a good time up at training camp. Not fully cleared though yet, right?
No, but I mean, we're not really allowed to give. I can't really give medical reports, but let me just tell you, he looks really good, and I don't mean just physically, just looking at him. I mean working. He looks good, and I'm blown away, frankly, because we're talking about a large man. We're not talking about a skill guy. The smaller guys, sometimes they get back much faster. We're talking about a 300-plus pound dude that, 6'5", 6'6", 300-pound guy with a major knee injury, and he looks in the best shape I've ever seen him right now than years past when he was on the field. So, yeah, and one thing about this coaching staff and training staff, they're not going to rush anyone back. They're not going to put you back even if you're 80%, even if you're 90%. You're going to be on the field when you're ready to be your true self and your best version of yourself as a player. So they're not – this isn't lip service. Sam is really that far ahead. And I know Sam, and Sam's been around this program when it wasn't good. And now that they're winning, and he wasn't part of that NFC Championship game last year because he got hurt the week before in Detroit. Yeah, it's an itch to get back out there with your guys.
Lake Lewis Jr. joining us, NFL insider and analyst, host of the Lake Lewis Jr. Show on this Wednesday morning. You mentioned Sam Cosmi. He was around when the team wasn't good. Another guy that I know probably Commanders fans who are listening are like, why haven't you asked this question yet? Another guy that was around when the team wasn't good, and now he's not around. Well, I guess technically he's around now.
He's around.
He's talking with his agent on the sideline. He's having himself some time up there. Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a deal? Last time you came on the show, we were chatting, and it felt, and I was in the same boat. We all felt optimistic that, they're just working out a couple of things or dotting some I's, crossing some T's. Now, with the reports that have been coming out, it seems like they're off by quite a bit of money at that top dollar.
Yeah.
Is this going to get done? Is it something
it's going to get done? I reported almost 2 weeks ago it was 32 to 34. And, I'm not going to say how I know, but the fact of the matter is, DK was the barometer. DK Metcalf, who's making almost $33 million. And if you look at the numbers, Terry's numbers are pretty much better in a lot of categories. DK has like 10 more touchdowns over his career. But DK's played with Russell Wilson and Geno Smith, Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Terry hasn't had anything like that until last year.
The Taylor Heineke slander will not.
Yeah, exactly. So in fairness to Terry, I can understand why Buddy Baker, his agent, and everyone's asking for what they want because the guy's a phenomenal player and he's an even better person. And he's been the brand for a bad organization, and now it's a new organization. The brand's Jaden now. So I think sometimes fans are leading into this with a lot of emotion because he's such a likable person. He really is. And, I know some people thought I was coming at him the other day, and I said it, and I'll say it again. I thought it was a terrible look optic-wise to have his agent out there the whole time and talking off to the side auxiliary field by themselves, and then he would sign autographs. Well, just come out and sign autographs. Fans love you. You love the fans. That's no secret. But the whole agent thing, it looked a little standoffish, and then on Tuesday, on Monday, he's out there and Adam Peters is less than 30 feet, 40 feet away signing autographs. And it just looked really weird. And honestly, I've been saying this to anyone that wants to hear this. I don't want to go back to covering drama. I just don't like it. We haven't had it. We don't need it. This guy's one of the most important pieces on this football team. Make no mistake about it. I do think something will get done, but I think that number is going to have to come down considerably. I think it's going to have to be somewhere. I think 29.5 gets this thing done. I know 30 sounds great because it's a 3. I don't know if the team's willing to do that, but I do think it's going to be in that 28.5 to 30. That's the number range.
How much do you think this is the ownership, the front office, trying not to set a precedent? Because this is their first big extension.
One. Absolutely.
So if you kind of bend the knee or you give him a little bit, you let him kind of dictate the terms of this process, do you think that's going on in the front office where they're like, we have to be careful on how we handle this? Because we got Jaden Daniels who's going to be up for an extension in 2 years, and
that's when Terry's contract extension would kick in.
Yeah, so you're sitting here and you're like, how much of that is going through the front office's mind? Do you think, and do you think that is a big portion of the holdup?
Yeah, I think I'm absolutely positive that has a big part of it, and that's the thing that Terry's camp's going to hold on to as well. They're looking at it like, okay, you want to do all you can under Jaden's rookie deal right now. You can make moves around Jaden to better this team to be a Super Bowl contender, which I think they are this year, but for the next couple of years before you have to pay Jaden, it's going to be a record-breaking NFL contract for Jaden. I don't think there's any secret about that. He's going to be north of $700 million. So you account for that. So Terry's folks are looking at it like, well, if you're trying to put together the best pieces around him right now, our guy's the second best player on this team, so he should get this money. I totally get that. But again, you have to account for the age. And I know Terry's numbers have gotten better and better each year. Last year was his best year. Ironically, he had a great quarterback, so that went hand in hand. But again, when this contract extension for Terry kicks in, his birthday's September 15th. So when this contract extension kicks in, whether it's 2 years or 3 years, he's still going to be going on 32 at that time. And normally, the way the league works, as you know, receivers don't get paid that kind of money when they're that age, regardless of what they're doing on the field.
And receivers don't typically get better after age 30
exactly.
seasons. So
right.
That's what the Commanders are probably looking at it too. Like, you may have reached your pinnacle, and we don't want to be paying you $32 million a year, $30 million a year,
when
whatever it is.
Father Time's going to creep in.
When you're going on we're on the wrong side of the mountain at this point. How much of it too? Because they're an older roster.
Yeah,
Bobby, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah.
So they know coming up in the next year or two, even before the Jaden extension, they're probably going to have to go out and sign some free agents and use a lot of that salary cap. Do you think that's playing a part into it as well, or is that just am I overthinking the whole situation?
I would never say a person's overthinking anything, but maybe on this one, just because they're considered the oldest team in the league, and it's just because really they have 4 players who are so old. And I hate, Bobby's going to tell me, what you mean I'm old? But, B-Wags is, Bobby Wagner is 35. You just brought in Von Miller, who's 36. Zach Ertz going on 36. I mean, so those raised the average quite a bit. But if you took those, 3-4 guys off the roster, it comes down to like 27, 28. The issue is you're going to have Deebo Samuel, who looks dynamic right now. He looks great. He really does. So he's going to have one of those years. He's pretty upset with the lack of respect that he has coming his way. So he's going to do well, I'm sure. Then you think of, some of the other guys. Frankie Louvu's going to be coming up. He just made Pro Bowl last year, so you're going to have to pay him too. Laramie Tunsil is coming up. You're going to have to pay him. You don't trade for him to only have him as a 1-year rental. He has to be long-term for Jaden. So you have all these other key pieces, and I think, again, to the fans, I always say this. I understand the emotional side of being a fan. I get it. But it's a business here. And in years past, Washington wasn't any good. So they may have had 3-4 players that they could prop up and pay or even overpay to keep some kind of happiness with the fan base that was looking for something. Well, their team's loaded right now. I mean, you don't say a Super Bowl caliber team because of one player. Obviously Jaden's a big part of that, and Terry is too, but they've got weapons everywhere, and they're going to have to compensate all these guys. So those are the things that I'm sure Adam Peters and even Josh Harris, the owner, they have to look at all those things. And they got a stadium they're going to be building soon, and so money's money. No matter how you have to come up with it, you got to dig in your pockets.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Lake Lewis Jr. joining us, NFL insider and analyst, host of the Lake Lewis Jr. show as well. I do want to know, with Terry missing all of this time, we've been hearing Jalen Lane's name a lot, the Virginia Tech guy, local-ish product, Blacksburg, a couple hours out, but. Is he when they drafted him? I was like, that's a good piece for down the road. But now with Terry missing the time, he's kind of been getting some more reps than he may not otherwise have gotten.
100%, and making plays.
I was going to say, is he earning himself? I know it's still really early in training camp, but is he earning himself some PT come the regular season?
Without question, I think he's their third wide receiver right now, and Noah Brown technically would be the third wide receiver, and Noah looks great as well. So much for that injury he had. Another one that, I thought his season was over before it started. But with Jalen, he's getting better, and you can see the confidence growing each practice. Each practice he makes a play. 2 days ago, he had an outstanding catch in the back of the end zone. Great throw from Jaden, but even tougher catch from Jalen. He also had a slant route, that he would have taken to the house. And, so when you watch him, you don't really see a wow factor. It's like he's not shaking everyone and doing this and doing that, but he's always catching the ball. He's always open. the speed is real. It's more of a north-south speed, but once he turns his shoulders up, he's there. So I've said this over the last week or so, and I want my royalties if it comes to fruition here, but I think that his nickname should be Baby Debo, because that's literally how you can use this guy as a Swiss Army knife. I mean, they did it at VTech, and he's also a great punt returner as well. He's going to be the team's punt returner more than likely. So he's one of those guys that is multifaceted, and I think, when you look at Debo and the way he was used in San Francisco for his career, Jalen Lane has the best blueprint to work from with Debo, and I think they're very similar in stature as far as how they play.
Debo, how's he looking? Is he going to be used as that Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, he's having, in my opinion, one of the top 3 or 4 camps. He looks really good. He's making all the plays. And you see a lot of players coming over to him to talk with him and get his opinion. Yesterday, Mikey Sammerstill, defense is on the other side of the field. Mikey's on the offensive side of the field, kneeling and sitting with Debo and just talking to him. So you can tell that Debo's already earned the respect. Everyone knew he was a great player. But, you hear, okay, well, he's at the end of the road and he doesn't have it anymore. He can't do this. Wrong. He looks really good. And for the first time in his career, when Terry comes back, as he will be back, both of those guys are going to have something they haven't had on the other side. I know Brandon Ayuk, is ascending, and he's a really good football player that got hurt. But Terry has never had a Debo on his side, and Debo, in my opinion, has never had that, so they could be dangerous together.
Like, we've spent a lot of time this morning chatting about the offensive side for good reason. Jaden Daniels is there, Terry McLaurin isn't there, and that's a huge storyline. But on the defensive side of things, that feels like if this team does want to take that step to Super Bowl contender, it's going to rely a lot on that defensive side. Lost Jeremy Chim, but brought in Trey Amos and some other guys. How has the defense been looking, and do you expect them to take a necessary step forward here in 2025?
Yeah, defense looks much better. And I'm a big Joe Witt fan, the defensive coordinator. I know everyone says it's Dan Quinn's defense, and it is technically, because he's kind of, Joe Witt comes from Dan Quinn's tree, technically. But I think that last year they didn't have all the pieces in place, obviously, to be able to stop the run for one, to be able to generate a consistent pass rush. And a lot of that, everything played hand in hand. They didn't have the corner play, to be able to hold receivers and stay with them for 3-4 seconds. So you address this in a lot of ways. You go out, you bring in Javon Kinlaw, who's a big dude who no, he's not going to get 15 sacks. He's not going to be Trey Hendrickson or anything like that. But he's a guy that can establish an edge where you're not going to run to that side. You can look at the other side. Dorrance Armstrong is the guy I think benefits the most out of any defensive player this year. I think he had 5 sacks last year. I think he's going to double-digit that this year. I think he's going to have 10 or more sacks this year. He's going to be the guy, in my opinion, because of Von Miller being there now, and all eyes will be on him. I don't care if he's 36 or not. That dip that he has and bend that he has, I've never seen that in my life. And I've seen it several times already this camp, where he comes around the edge, his shoulder's almost on the ground. It's unbelievable. So with that said, I think that, there's so many facets now. They have great corners, young corners, aggressive corners, guys that can play man-to-man. Trey Amos looks amazing, and he's starting, so Mikey's moved in the slot, and Mikey's able to roam around and do a lot of the things that he did when he was at Michigan, where they were blitzing him a lot. Harbaugh would blitz him at Michigan. So they're going to be able to generate pass rushes. They're going to be able to not be ran on. So the defense, I think, last year finished the season at like 15 ranking-wise overall. If that's the case, then I would predict this unit this year would be a top 10 unit. And a top 10 unit with perhaps a top 3 offense, that could be pretty scary.
You didn't mention Lattimore. How's Lattimore looking?
He looks great.
Okay, because that's the big question after the injury-riddled season last year.
He lost a lot of weight, too. He looks like he lost 10, 15 pounds.
I wish I could do that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I remember when, minicamp came around and he changed his number, so he's number 2 now. And I literally was like, who's that? I look at my roster, like, who's that? And they were like, that's Marshawn. And I said, no, who's number 2? And they were like, no, it's Marshawn. And I could not believe it. He looks totally different, and he's moving. He literally he hasn't shown any signs of a leg injury. And I mean, he's doing everything out there. And a lot of times there's nothing coming his way. So he has that chip on his shoulder, and he's heard the grumblings that he was washed and it's over.
It was a waste of a draft pick and all that.
Trust me, he's going to be the catalyst for the secondary. I think their secondary has the potential to be overnight. I think they have potential to be their best unit overall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big step up from where it was last year.
Absolutely.
Whew. Lake, thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning, chat with us here on your day off, back up in at Washington Commanders training camp tomorrow. Hopefully the heat subsides a little bit, but we've got to catch up again soon.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much. Lake Lewis Jr., NFL insider and analyst and host of the Lake Lewis Jr. Show as well. We'll be right back with more Fitz the Bill on this Wednesday morning.